Yeah.
Always.
But time, I mean, the Earth has existed for only 5,000 years. So that's what you have to understand.
And actually,
Okay, Dave.
we're surrounded by a 1 mile high ice wall that surrounds the whole Earth,
Sort of
and
like
so you can
Game
kind
of
of get to
Thrones.
the edge of the.
Yeah, a flat Earth theory? Or do you think it's a
Did
cone?
you ever watch it?
Do you think the Earth is
What's the cone Earth
I
theory?
don't know the cone theory.
that the Earth isn't actually a sphere, it's a cone.
Interesting.
And it's not a flat Earth, it's a conicular Earth. And so we're
Interesting.
still
Where are we on the edge?
Yeah. Like how you look at a map, like that's still right. Like it's flat, but like how you look a map of the world being a rectangle, and then there's a
Being a
cone. It
Okay.
goes. The sky
I
is
see.
a cone.
Oh,
Yeah.
Whoa.
interesting.
Yeah.
I need to look into that when I get
You'll
home.
look
It's
it
gonna
up.
be
I
my
like
next,
the ice wall
It's gonna be my
theory.
next
Yeah.
week of.
I'll send you
I think
links.
that was a semi-believed thing for a while, like when they were doing, or like the first people that went to Antarctica or whatever
Oh, okay.
were like, because
We've-
there is a mile high wall of ice,
Right.
So
and
we've
they're like, all right,
reached-
this surrounds the entire
And,
Earth, and everything is just in the center of that, surrounded by.
and the answers are all on the other side of the wall?
Yeah.
I know on the other side of the world is Atlantis and various other fucking like
Okay. Nirvana.
Okay, I'm buying what you're selling right
I mean,
now.
it's pure. Oh God, what's the guy's name? You've maybe seen him. He's definitely been on Rogan a bunch of times, but he's also like, he's like an English guy who's sort of the equivalent of, like George Tsoukalos or whatever, like ancient alien type guy.
Oh,
But
sure.
he's English and quite well spoken.
It's not Dawkins.
No.
or
No,
Hitchens.
he's a pyramids guy.
Okay, hell yeah.
But he's also like a like a diver who's like, oh, these cities are all like buried
Yeah.
underwater, and all
And
this
that
type
shit
of
probably
and, like,
sounds more believable if you say it with an accent.
fully,
Yeah.
because it's just you can just waffle for hours about like.
With a David Attenborough voice.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's exactly what it is. It's
Authority.
infinitely more believable.
Like you could say that shit to me right now. I believe it's 70% as much because you're Scottish.
Yeah.
It's not as convincing as an English accent, but that's our
Really?
Not quite as believable.
that's our prejudice.
it's more
Well, no, I
emphatic.
think the English, the like a well-spoken English accent is a real kryptonite for
Americans?
Yeah, it just makes someone sound
Of course,
smart or
of course.
sexy
Yeah.
or whatever.
Of course. They've got you by the panties.
Yeah, they
when you
do.
st-
They do.
On that note, I'll do an introduction.
Yeah, do one.
You're listening to Rock Bottoms, a podcast of substance. I'm Amanda. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
I'm Dave. I am an alcoholic and an addict.
We have a very special guest today.
Hi, I am Ross. I'm an alcoholic and an addict.
Hi, Ross.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, we have.
Ross is also known as DJ Hudson Mohawke.
Would you say DJ or just
Oh,
Hudson?
just- sorry.
Usually I would just say Hudson Mohawke, but only because, I started as a DJ, but then got into making music and like very production and various other things, and like, traditionally I hadn't used I actually used to use the term DJ Itchy.
DJ
when I was like
Itchy?
when I was like in my teens.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
Because I had such terrible, I still do, terrible eczema that I was like
That's a
Yeah.
scratching all the time. I was like,
nice,
Yeah.
and I was
unique
really into
moniker.
I was really into like scratching and all this kind of stuff as a DJ.
Oh, that makes sense. As
So
a
I was
DJ.
like,
Yeah.
this is so smart.
This is
Are
better
they
than
named-
DJ eczema.
I wonder, there probably is a DJ eczema. Is it sort of like, it makes you think of like drag names. Like, do your friends call you Ross, but your colleagues call you Hudson? Or what do you, when do you go by which name?
I prefer that people just call me Ross.
Okay, that makes
Okay,
sense.
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We're
Well-
here with DJ Itchy.
Yeah.
DJ Itchy, sometimes DJ Eczema,
Yeah.
sometimes Hudson Mohawke.
There's
right now, Ross.
there's a great name that I keep seeing on flyers recently, which is DJ Fart in the Club.
Fart
DJ
in the
Fart in
Club?
the Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
It's
that.
a great name.
Okay, our next guest is
Yeah,
DJ
yeah,
Fart in the Club.
DJ Fart in the Club.
Yeah.
That's very funny. What's cooking? How's sobriety treating you today?
Today?
Yeah, today.
Yeah, today.
Day at a time, right?
Yeah, no, it very much so. Today, all right. Like, had a brief interaction with my sponsor earlier, and
Nice.
but I was saying just before we began that from my initial period of right, I need to get sober, which was when end of 2016. In fact, it was like it was right when Trump first got elected.
Yeah.
I remember that time.
Since that time, like, I've always been aware that I needed to stay sober, but I've had a hell of a time actually maintaining that.
I imagine, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I imagine that working in the nightlife industry does not make it easy.
No, it's certainly it's a part of it, and it's when it's like you go to perform somewhere and you walk into a dressing room or you walk on stage and it's like, oh, there's like
people are offering you
there's like
alcohol.
3 full bottles of Grey Goose there.
Yeah.
There's fucking,
And people want to
it's
party with
infinite-
the talent.
and people
Yeah.
want, and to some extent, like it's almost like, and I don't feel this way now, but like, if you look at it from an entertainment aspect, it's like it's your job to be there entertaining people and be like in the spirit of the
It's like an
Be
obligation.
of the
circus
crowd
elephant that
and
everyone watches.
well, that, but also like pouring shots in people's
Yeah.
mouths
Yeah.
and like fucking and
Oh,
there's a
that's good.
social aspect of that as well, which actually, for a lot of people is very beneficial to their careers. In fact, because they're like, oh, they're gonna really party with the promoter, and then the promoter's gonna
Right.
do
Yeah.
this, and then it's
They
gonna
can
really
schmooze.
advance your
And it's
career
like
in that
it's
aspect.
like
And like,
they're partying with Hudson Mohawke
and
instead of like, oh, this is Ross, the guy.
sure,
Yeah.
and there's I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say I was forced into doing any of
No,
that,
no.
for sure,
Right,
you know
of
what I mean? But like, I had many years where I could do that, and it wasn't really an issue for me actually. Like it was just like, well, the phrase of like, fun and fun with problems, and then problems
Yeah.
with fun, and this,
Yeah.
and so really, I'd gotten away with it for a very long time, in late 2000s, early 2010s, right through to sort of mid 2010s.
Yeah.
And it hadn't presented all that many issues for me, or they were issues that other people thought were just funny.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
this
I
kind of
had
thing,
that
and,
too.
like,
Yeah.
and it hadn't really become sort of like tragic.
Yeah, where
you know
it
what I
was
mean?
like a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, for the you know uh for the average person, like it is a good story.
It
You know what
is,
I mean?
yeah.
Or like, oh, this is hilarious. You missed this
You-
show because you like fell down a fucking flight of stairs and broke bones, or like
Yeah.
you ended up in hospital because you
Crazy
did some
Ross.
shit.
Yeah.
Just and it's like, also because like, fortunately, like I never was uh like a violent drunk or anything like
Yeah.
that, or like a raging
You were
drunk.
more
It
of a
was
fun,
the
or
the fun until like
right, fun.
Yeah.
passing out, but so it wasn't like I was getting arrested or into fights or like
Sure.
this type of thing.
So there weren't like big
it wasn't-
alarms that were making
no,
people go like,
no.
"Whoa, you need to slow your roll."
Um,
Did you're from Scotland? Where in
yes,
Scotland are you from?
from Glasgow,
Glasgow.
which
I was gonna say
Which
I've
is-
never
It's a-
seen bar fights like I've seen
yeah.
when I was there. Holy shit!
Yeah.
And they weren't even in the bars; they were out in the streets in front of the bars.
Yeah, I mean, and
the
it's
culture of drinking
it's-
there is just so really part of
yeah,
life.
and it's really like it's sort of a cliche, but it really is. It's a big part of the culture there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And to the point where there are many people there who uh, clearly have an issue, and it's just like
Yeah.
normalized. And
You don't hear a lot of people anywhere in the UK discussing sobriety.
Yeah,
So
we're-
it's
No.
not as much as
Were
here.
there
Certainly
people
not
when
as
you were
much.
a kid? Like, I know when I was a kid growing up, like I grew up in like a very drinking culture
Mhm.
area, and like I
Yeah.
never heard anyone talk about
No.
it. I didn't know
No.
anyone who was sober who was an
No.
adult,
No.
and if I did, it's like a dark secret.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, it's very much same. Like it's, it's a cultural thing in a lot of Europe as well. That it's
Yeah.
just, and in many other places, where it's such a widely accepted kind of daily thing. I mean, like
Yeah.
and also it's the culture is like, oh, you finish work and you
and
go
you
to
go
the
to the
pub.
pub. Yeah.
Like,
And I imagine if you
just
show
do
up,
that.
if you show up at the pub and you go, "Oh, I'm not drinking tonight,"
Yeah,
everyone is like,
Yeah.
What was wrong?
What?
yeah,
Yeah. what-
Yeah. The fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
or just like, you can have one, or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah. Oh,
if you
just
don't
like
go,
one.
you lose your social circle. You lose
yeah,
people around you,
yeah,
and that's important.
and it is and this clearly, this works very well for a lot of people. Like, it is particularly, for instance, you're in a workplace where like you may not have that much in common with your colleagues or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like a
Mhm.
it's like a social lubricant to
Yeah.
like get to know people.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and
it
then,
makes
like,
talking to strangers is horrible, and it
Yeah.
makes it, especially in a work environment,
Yeah.
it makes things so much easier until it doesn't.
yeah.
Which, speaking of work, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but congratulations on Brat
Oh, yeah,
receiving
yeah.
multiple
Oh, thanks.
Grammy
Yeah.
awards.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
The
you.
album, not just like album of the summer, but like album that I feel like is generation defining. Is that?
Yeah,
I don't
kind
think
of
that's
yeah.
hyperbolic.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm very grateful to Alex and Charlie for involving me in that. And it's funny, like, it's we were all kind of like, they were slightly younger than like our little crew.
Mhm.
We all kind of came up through the same little scene
Oh, okay,
in the
cool.
UK and
Yeah.
in London
That's really
in
sweet.
like early 2010s again, and
Wow.
so we had been, you know, involved in, you know, I've certainly been on many of the same like lineups or club nights as Alex, AG, and like
Yeah.
for years and years and years, but we had never done any music or anything like that. We'd just sort of vaguely talked about it a couple of times, but we'd never really done anything in it. I was always kind of, I was a little closer with Sophie in that crew because of the Sophie's early records were all released on a Glasgow record label, and so it was, I was, they're some of my best, like the people that run that label in Glasgow,
Yeah.
the Numbers label. They were some of my best friends already, and we had been all doing like club nights and doing each other's parties and things like that for years. So, it ended up that I was just through doing those shows and stuff like that I was more friendly with Sophie. But I'm so grateful to Alex and Charlie for like bringing me onto that, because
Yeah.
it was sort of like, you know, there was a period where you know, or that little scene that I'm talking about from like early 2010s or whatever kind of like forked off into different things, and I had always been like, well, you know, I'm like a beat maker, producer, DJ, and like, you know, because I could grown up listening to like New York hip hop
Oh,
kind
cool.
of thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that side of things, and also like the rave music, like the happy hardcore and all that stuff was really big in Scotland, huge there, and I had sort of gone down that path, and you know, there's obviously a lot of the sonic elements of that within the hyperpop thing, and then like they really went off and like really mastered the like hyperpop
That
lane, and
sound.
like yeah, and like it was simultaneously when I had a project called Tonight, which was with another producer called Lunas from Montreal, and that was one of the things excuse me, that was one of the things that sort of kicked off the kind of like trap world kind of thing, and like I hate that term, because you know, like I really feel like trap is rap music. It's not like an EDM genre,
Yeah, it's
as
like,
it were, but like
Juicy J.
exactly.
It's not.
But so yeah, we'd ended up kind of like forking off into sort of like different sonic universes a little bit. So it's really nice to
Come back together.
to sort of come back, and
It's very, and
especially on a project that, like, you know, I had no idea. Maybe they had an idea, I'm not sure, but like I had no idea that it was gonna be such a significant project for Charlie. You know,
it's
Yeah.
also
Wow.
very funny to be a sober person and be involved in the album that was probably the most, like, the album that
Party album.
had most drugs done to it in a year.
In probably many
probably,
years.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Did you
yeah.
go to the Grammys?
I didn't go to the Grammys, actually.
I was going to ask just what the partying was like in the wake of all of the success of that album.
No, I was going to go, and then I didn't go for some reason. I can't remember.
Couldn't find a suit.
Yeah.
No, it's
But-
interesting because it's like I worked with a lot of people who were promoting that album, and it's
Yeah.
just like the ethos of it was like do coke, get fucked up, take
Yeah.
pills, nothing matters, you're hot as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I'm like, damn, I wish I could
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
coke to this.
Yeah.
And I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
I've like worked out listening to it, and it does put you in that headspace of like, I'm gonna go party and get
Yeah.
fucked
Yeah.
up, and that it's like
Mm.
just like a badass chick telling you to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Yeah, and I think part of a good deal of the success of that is because like it's because Charlie is able to communicate that in such a relatable way, because like it's like, no, that's her. It's like
Yeah,
it's not
it's
it's
honest.
not
And it's also
Yeah.
not glamorized. I
no,
don't think.
not
It's
at all.
just like,
just-
listen, I'd be doing this shit if I
Yeah.
wasn't making this album
Yeah,
or not.
yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's a kind of like resonance thing.
Absolutely.
I
yeah.
love music that's about getting fucked up.
Totally. I mean, that's
It's
honestly, that's You know, I would say that if there's a through line between all the music that I like, it's probably that
It's about getting
it's
fucked up.
Yeah.
not necessarily even lyrically, but just like maybe the scene around it,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
it's,
I listen to like a lot of like Judas Priest and like 80s like leather pants hair metal.
yeah.
And like those guys, it's all about like, they're all like, yeah, I want to drink a bottle of whiskey. And then the song somehow is like, and also fuck underage girls. And I'm
Yeah, I was
like-
gonna say that era of music is
and
more
I'm
about
like,
the
oh.
wind in my hair and all the little girls.
Yeah.
around
And I'm
me.
like, okay, this is cool.
Okay.
This is cool. Okay.
But definitely like electronic dance music has undertones that are like, this is all about just getting
Yeah,
fucked up, because
and-
that's what you're
It's-
doing when you
and
go to the
it's-
club,
it's the
right?
same shit in your brain that's getting fired.
Same chemicals
fully
or
completely.
Same, yes, that
and-
center
and
of your brain.
It's a couple of things. I mean, like the first kind of more underground music that I really really loved was, like I said, like the real like rave and happy hardcore music, and it's
Mhm.
all about amphetamines and
That's-
ecstasy,
Okay.
and
That's kinda
and,
like-
Tweaker music.
Yeah,
Like Train Spotting, which is that like
was
well,
realistic?
just
Train
talk-
Spotting's like
thinking about Iggy
heroin,
Pop.
Heroin, but-
but
Lust for life.
yeah.
But,
but-
is that like the same scene?
Well, it's. I mean, I think that the through line is like, and it's funny in a sense because happy hardcore specifically, it didn't have a particularly good reputation in terms of like the more serious music listener and all that.
yeah.
And it also was traditionally like a very working class
Hmm.
music, and even like and even Scotland's not a wealthy place, and there's a lot of real like seriously deprived areas
Yeah.
and things
Yeah.
like that, and often like those are the areas where people are like
Getting
blasting this fucking music,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
yeah.
which is really like joyous, euphoric sounding,
To make you
like,
feel
fucking-
that.
but it's like all in pursuit of like escape and
Yeah, like fuck
oblivion.
the man, and I'm gonna get fucked
Well,
up.
that and just like just a pursuit of just like being out of your body.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Were you, because you mentioned amphetamines, I wanted to ask, has your kryptonite always been alcohol, or is there?
It's been various
Drugs,
things over the
all-
years. I would say that.
I'm also a fan of various things.
But although strangely, and I think this is a real blessing, as much as I, as much as I'm a fan of cocaine, a lot.
We're huge fans.
We're big.
We're huge
as
fans.
much
It
as
rocks.
much as the next person. I was never a big coke person.
Okay.
Thank God. But I was a big downers person.
Okay.
Same here.
Interesting.
Like Xanax.
Yeah.
So were you
Which
DJing on
combine
Xanax?
that with alcohol is fucking
Yeah. Deadly?
That's like what you said. Like I was falling asleep everywhere because of it.
Yeah.
And it's
That's really
also,
interesting.
I think,
And it's also just like, it's bad enough by itself. You combine that with alcohol, it's like I have no fucking idea what I did for like a week.
Yeah.
Blackout City.
I also think like I loved cocaine, but I never was that big on it because I didn't like buying it.
Yeah.
But Xanax and stuff, you could get like everyone had a prescription.
It's so insidious,
Yeah.
like alcohol, because it's just available all over the place,
Yeah.
and it's not. Nobody really bats an eye when you're like, maybe
I'm gonna take a
taking
bar.
a Xanax because you're.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really anxious.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really anxious tonight,
But,
guys.
I mean, the other thing for me was that, in my from as young as I can remember, and to this current day, like in my personal life, and I'm not the most like outgoing social person, and I am quite anxious, and I'm
Same.
quite like.
Wait, you?
And I I discovered this thing that just takes that away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, this is like the magic ticket to
I always think of, there's this Dennis Johnson book, and he writes in it, he's writing from the point of view of an addict, and he was one, and he's describing figuring that out as, I discovered a button I could push and destroy the known world. And that's what I found too. It completely removes you from the reality of your existence.
It's
And
the
like
magic,
the uncomfortability of being in your
fail-safe
own
key.
skin.
Yeah.
And I loved that because
Yeah.
like, I think like part of my addiction shit was like, I wasn't comfortable with myself.
Completely.
And like, if you're not comfortable with yourself, you're like, oh, well, there's a different person you can switch into.
Yeah.
Do you find that when you're performing, when you're playing music for people, that taps into that same part of you where you are escaping a little or accessing that part of you?
Not nowadays, because like I I had to learn how to be Ross in front of an audience rather than
Yeah.
like and granted, like there's still a facade there, because it's like but
The DJ Itchy facade.
yeah. But no, it really, well, kind of like I mentioned before, it's you want to be in the, or my thinking at that point is, or you want to be in the same mindset as like the crowd, as it were, and having us like united,
Like
contagious
contagious energy almost.
Yeah.
That's
Like
interesting.
if you're bored up there, they're bored.
Yeah.
Almost.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you don't have like the benefit of, you're not doing a dead mouse thing.
Yeah.
You don't wear a little helmet. And like,
Yeah.
So they have to see your face, and you have to be in the zone.
And like, as someone who even that took me a long time prior to my discovery of downers.
Yeah.
even that was just like like stand in front of a fucking
Crowd.
dude. Fuck the.
And the crowds only got bigger.
Yeah, and you know, although strangely, like the more intimate, smaller crowd is even more difficult.
Okay.
Like,
That makes
because if
sense
it's a
when it's
bigger
possible
crowd,
to make eye contact with everybody.
yes, or someone's like right in front of you and they like have a phone that's like,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
you know,
Phones.
yeah.
Do you like when people have their phones out?
It depends what it is, because God, I had a funny one. When was it? November or something last year, where like someone, you know, it's normally it's like, oh, play this fucking song of yours from whatever
Yeah.
release or
Requests?
whatever.
Oh no.
Which is all well and good, but like someone had one that was like, I brought you menthol cigarettes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I
Thank
can't get them
Wow.
in California, so like,
Contraband.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
people ever buy you drinks or bring you
uh,
drugs?
certainly in the past, like I think now it's, you know, if I'm doing a show now, I don't have alcohol on my rider or anything like
Right,
that.
right,
I do
right.
have a lot of these on my rider.
Gummies.
Haribo gummy bears
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the listeners.
And I did have a you know, I used to have this kind of tradition that if I would go to, you know, whatever, because a lot of my touring, a lot of my real like heavy touring was around Europe, and people would bring like, you know, because there's how many hundreds of varieties of regional Haribo
Yeah.
that like
Oh, wow.
people would bring like.
Offerings.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I think it's like one of those things where like buying someone a drink is like kind of like the ultimate like I'm gonna bond with them thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then when you're
Yeah.
sober, it's like
Yeah.
the open bars and shit. That shit sucks.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
because I'm like necessarily tempted, but it's like
No, but
Yeah.
turning away that what feels like a gift.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
well, if I go to a place with an open bar, I should be given $20. Like I should
I
be
should
able
be
to
given
get.
$20
We should be
worth
tipping
of Shirley
you.
Yeah,
Temple.
I should get something
have
out
the-
of
the
'cause
QR
Because you're
code.
not taking advantage.
It's pointless for me. So I want something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like you lose out on that.
Yeah.
Like
I think like that certainly like in, you know, it was a huge thing for me. And granted, like I said, I've had, you know, many fucking relapses and things like this, but it was a huge part of it for me was like, you know, why am I the fucking why am I forced to be like the odd one out
Yeah.
here that everyone else is having a fucking great time?
Yeah.
And like you know, it's, you know, like you said, you're in an open bar type situation where, or even like a serve yourself type
Yeah.
situation where it's just like, you know, I still have that in
like why don't I
It's
get
so
this?
frustrating that you're like,
Yeah.
it feels so
Yeah.
unfair.
Yeah.
Like, why
And it's
why
like,
do I have to bear the cross of like, I'm
Yeah.
not allowed to have fun
Yeah.
because I ruin my life if I do. And these
Yeah.
people can get fucked up and tomorrow their life is okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Excuse me.
we never know, but
I mean, the funny, like the things that I really, with regards to, you know, entertainment, business, showbiz, this kind of thing.
You're a big
the-
showbiz
the-
star.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
We have a big
you know, the
wig.
things that I often enjoy about that now are that, like, and it's a feeling that I'm not used to, is that like, oh, I get to be the one that like remembers what's going on,
Yeah.
and like
shows
I
up.
get to, experience this, and I get to like I get to kind of be the one who like can have a conversation with people when people are like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
fuck,
It's
and
ultimately I think sobriety is freedom,
yeah,
and that I forget that sometimes because so often it feels like,
yes,
and when people hear you're sober, I think
Yeah.
often their mind goes to, oh, it's a constraint, it's an issue, but really it's supposed to be, you're free from
yeah. It's
substances.
so easy to slip back, and I mean, like you said
So easy.
earlier, it's like it's a daily thing, and there's I think you have to um you know familiarize yourself with like the what seemingly are like the little uh gifts and joys
Mhm.
of it, but actually over a period of time you're like, these are the real like benefits of this.
Yeah.
Like, like for instance, we're coming up on Coachella now, and like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
like
Are you
the
playing?
first I'm playing on the Sunday on some I can't remember what it is, but it's one of the newer stages. Um but
Get
I
your
know
tickets.
I know that
people.
the first Coachella that I did, which I think was either 2012 or 2013, and uh I remember, at what age would I have been at that point? 2013, I would have been at mid 20s, something like
Yeah.
that, and you're just
Okay.
like on top of the world, like you're coming straight from another great show, going there,
Your body can
staying there for
recover
a
from
weekend,
anything.
just like, yeah, or you're just kind of like, well, at that point it's uh the people that I was traveling around with and this sort of thing, it was just like, oh well, uh of course you're gonna get to the airport at 7 a.m. and have like multiple drinks before
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get
Yeah.
on the
Of course.
plane, and like
Yeah. You're living
then
the
you're gonna
entourage
get to
lifestyle.
the hotel, and then you're gonna have multiple drinks before you even
Yeah.
go to the event, and then
Especially if you're a
um,
performer, I assume you're
exactly,
treated
yeah,
a certain way and
Yeah.
drinks are
yeah,
available and all that.
and like that, and also like, at that point again, there was a sense of like uh sort of, fun cheekiness to it,
Mm-hmm.
and part of that was frankly down to like um the fact that like sobriety in general was not something that was not even in the like lexicon of
No.
like public
Yeah.
discussion whatsoever.
No,
So
we were in
you know
and like you said
2000
2013.
yeah,
Yeah,
it just
no
wasn't
way.
it wasn't a thing. It was like, actually, frankly, it was the opposite. It was like a time of like uh great excess,
Yeah,
and
excess
just
and
and being celebrated for
would have
that,
been a
in
really
fact,
lonely time to be
Yeah.
sober, I would
And,
think.
like,
yeah,
it
I don't know.
was-
I can't imagine having had to have attempted that then, but
But also, I can't imagine attempting being fucked up in the desert, surrounded by a bunch of
Flower-
Negro
but then
flower
the
children.
first totally. I mean, the
Sounds
first
like
time,
hell.
the first time that I did it, I think I wasn't even doing anything stupid, but I was watching. This is because there's no terrible consequences for this, but it was pretty stupid. But I think I was watching 2 Chainz but like side stage, and it was like a closed stage. So like technically you're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And like certain artists will like be like nobody's allowed even at the side of the stage, like that
yeah.
kind of thing. And I was like having this shouting match with the security guard because I was smoking a cigarette there, and I was claiming to be 2 Chainz's manager.
Yeah.
I was allowed
Yeah.
to be there because
Well,
I
you're
was
trying
2
to
Chainz's
manifest that for
manager.
yourself.
And I got
That's a really
escorted.
bold
I got
lie.
escorted off the site, of the whole Coachella site, in
For smoking a
handcuffs.
cigarette?
In handcuffs. But luckily that
That seems
didn't end up.
extreme.
I mean,
It does seem
in all
extreme, but-
fairness, you don't look like you'd be 2 Chainz's.
I said you would be surprised though, actually,
Yeah.
the amount of rap managers that are very unassuming.
I feel like
Look
that's
at
a place
people,
where your
but-
accent would come in handy, and
Yeah.
they'd be like, "Okay, I could buy that."
Yeah.
Like,
But
I was
no.
like, I went to Coachella when I was the only time I've been. I was a senior in high school. It was
Mhm.
early 2000s, and I saw people that should have been taken out of there in handcuffs and were probably me because
Yeah.
I was like sneaking alcohol in.
Yeah.
But someone very large was like thrown on top of me in a mosh pit, and I was
Yeah.
injured.
But
it was a great time.
I do think
Rage Against the
there's a
Machine
part
was
of
playing.
there's a part of one of the things that particularly with festivals and events like that
Mhm.
that is like an awareness of just how fucked up people actually
Oh,
get
yeah.
and are. And you're
Yeah.
like, wow.
And when you
Whenever
go
it's
to it
fucking,
sober,
like,
it's
yeah.
Yeah,
real
I've
obvious.
been to a few festivals and shows
Yeah.
since I got sober, and I prefer going to them sober
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I have more fun. I'm
Yeah.
like, because it's hard to navigate if you're fucked
Yes.
up. Like, they're big,
yeah. There's a
There's-
lot of different stages.
Yeah.
So all the
Um,
timing is complicated.
but you see like people have been out in the sunlight for 12 hours and everything about them
Yeah.
is fried.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this person needs
They need an IV
an
stat
IV. Yeah.
because it's just like Molly and alcohol
Yeah.
Yeah.
up the wazoo. The wazoo.
But I do.
Sorry, I said that.
Literally up the wazoo.
It's
But I actually,
Literally.
when was it last? Maybe not this past Coachella, but maybe the one before that. And I had made a point of, there's actually a great meeting on site at Coachella.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I wonder if they do that at Governor's Ball too. I hope they do.
But I mean, there's certainly like with the where the sort of wider sobriety discussion is in general. I think it's
Is it for
it's-
guests and performers?
yeah,
Wow.
Because the temptation is there.
yeah,
And
Big time.
yeah, and
That's amazing.
yeah. But I remember going to a meeting and being like, these can be, they don't have to be, and I don't really feel this way now, but I'm really fucking like resentful of that like through no fault of their own, the people I'm here with and that everyone else is just like allowed to have just like a fantastic fucking
Oh,
time,
yeah,
and I'm
same.
fucking here doing this.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's like, why can't I?
yeah.
That shit sucks.
Yeah, that's real.
I think it sucks for a period until the point where I'm like, and I get I think, and this is part of sobriety in general, is I think, like I said, getting these like little, appreciating more of these little pleasures or the
Yeah.
smaller things. But
Yeah.
when I'm like, all right, it's the following morning, I'm like up.
Who's feeling better?
I get to go and get coffee. Go and get
Yeah.
have my like nice morning routine. I don't feel like shit.
Yeah.
I don't feel
like,
guilty.
I don't
mean,
feel guilty.
I
I don't
woke up
know-
feeling guilty all the time.
I don't
because
know,
didn't
like-
Oh,
know.
all the time. Scared to look at my
I don't
phone.
know what. Yeah, I don't know what. Like I don't have a fear of like shit. What did I tweet last
Yeah.
night?
Oh, God,
or like
yeah.
fucking.
You don't have
like,
lost
Yeah.
moments. I mean, I lost
Days.
months in my life, and where I'm just like, well, I don't know what I
Yeah.
did.
Or like who the fuck was I texting with
Yeah.
and like saying all this shit
Yeah.
to, and
Like, where did my jacket go?
yeah.
Where did I get this jacket?
Yeah, yeah.
Like all that shit.
Where did I get this underwear?
Yeah, it's why am I wearing this? I mean,
I still have those moments of resentment, I still have those. I've been sober for more than 6 years, and I was at a party recently. Dave was at this party,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of like really fancy wine being consumed.
Yeah.
And we went into a headspace of like, I'm not allowed.
yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
allowed to
They don't
enjoy
make
the wine
fancy
because I
soda.
suck.
Yeah.
And I had to ask I was like, could I have some water? And they gave me water in a wine glass. And then I felt like just a baby walking
Yeah.
around with a wine glass full of water. But then as I saw people get more and more, because there wasn't enough food being served
Yeah.
early on, that people were getting pretty lit
Yeah.
Yeah.
on just wine. And then seeing people sort of teeter around and slurring their words,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm free.
But
I'm free.
I think with like alcohol, it's like, yeah, you can, there are like nice wines and nice whiskeys and like, it's like, there aren't nice non-alcoholic.
Non-alcoholic.
Like,
There's some good.
but no one's opening
mocktails.
up a vintage bottle of Pepsi for
Right.
you. And it's like,
Sure.
this is
The
such
ritual,
a treat.
yeah, it's the
I do
ritual
think,
of the
like,
wine.
I do think, you know, and again, like part of this is the, you know, I feel very fortunate to be in this part of the world being sober, because
like in the States.
Like
in the States
liberal
and
California,
and in
hippy-dippy.
California, frankly, because, you know, I often see places now that have like elaborate mocktail
Oh,
menus
yeah.
and things like this,
Now
which
it's weird if
just
you
like
don't.
wasn't a thing
Yeah.
for so long and isn't a thing in
It's
most
only become a
places.
thing
No,
maybe in
like
the
I
past
w-
2 years.
I went to went last summer before, and was at this, you know, very like prestigious club in Ibiza, and there's like, you know, full like actual bar in the backstage bit, and I
Yeah.
asked them like what they have any like what's their like non-alcoholic
Yeah.
options, and they literally laughed at me.
Yeah,
Or like
they're
apple
like-
juice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, no, we don't have that.
But
That's
but
what they-
in a like laughed at me in like a like, why the fuck are you even here if you
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah.
know,
I mean,
like,
I've had the same thing at like going to a wedding in the
Yeah.
Midwest,
Yeah.
where it's like they have a cooler of drinks for like the reception party, and it's like it's only beer.
Yeah.
And it's like, can I just get a Coke? It's like, or like they hand out the champagne, and it's like, I just want something.
I
I
had
want
a-
something to feel normal, because otherwise I'm gonna be chain smoking cigarettes in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me something to tweak on that's like.
Yeah.
There's something psychological that happens when you just
Yeah.
at least have something in your
Yes.
hand to
And
drink.
You feel othered. I
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
I'm constantly feeling
Which is like,
othered.
you know, I think, you know, depending on where one is at in with their sobriety or in their sobriety, I think like that, you know, that, and it's an ever changing sort of spectrum of how I feel about it, but there's many moments I've had where I'm like in those exact circumstances, for example, a wedding or something like that,
Yeah.
where it's like, fuck, I have to be the fucking weirdo again that's not like participating or this, to like the feeling of like no, I am different in the sense that like I know and I'm comfortable in the knowledge that if I do this, I can have probably a, a, a nice couple of hours.
Yeah.
And within like 3 or 4 days, I'm going to be in hospital.
Yeah.
Like, and like,
Yeah.
I know that that's the arc.
Yeah.
And, you know, and often in those situations, my kind of thought pattern when in the periods where I've had longer stints of sobriety,
Mm-hmm.
I know that my in those circumstances, my actual thought process is like, isn't it great that these people are having a great time? And how lucky am I to not, given my own circumstances with alcoholism, how incredibly blessed and lucky I am to not be under the intense like burden of what this thing does to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
beautiful.
To not
Like-
like, you're not like ruining a night.
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah, well that, but just like not the like pure like depths of sorrow that this has taken me to. How fortunate am I to not be a prisoner to that?
Yeah, that you're
you
on the
know?
other side of it.
Like,
Do you think like, how surprised would the 14-year-old version of yourself be that like you're saying that? Like, when did you start?
well,
drinking,
so
I
this is a
guess?
funny thing is that like, I wasn't a huge drinker, and also that I mean in the UK and in a lot of places in Europe, the drinking age is like
Is like
18
14.
Is yeah. Some places I think it is. I think,
think so.
like, in like Latvia or something.
After
like
you
that,
get out of
Yeah.
your shift at the factory.
but,
you
yeah,
go-
as a 7-year-old.
yeah, go to
Yeah.
the pub and have
Yeah.
a quick
Yeah.
one.
I remember seeing children smoking cigarettes in France when I was there
Yeah.
as a kid, and that
Yeah.
was very much a culture
That's
shock to
cool
me.
though.
It was pretty cool.
That's,
Sorry to
No,
interrupt.
so I wasn't a huge drinker in my teens, and but in hindsight, I had a huge eating disorder,
Mm.
and I was
Wow.
like super overweight and like really uncomfortable about that. And you know, I heard someone say this in a meeting once where they were like, you know, alcoholism is it's one of the worst named conditions, medical conditions of ever.
Yeah.
Because frankly, like, alcohol has nothing to do with it at all. It's you know, it's
It's a symptom of something
it's
bigger.
behavioral traits and symptoms and your own mind, as it
Yeah.
were, that take you to that, and because alcohol is the most widely accepted and readily available way to sort of dull those
Mhm.
parts of you, and because it's also the along with many drugs, of course, as well, but like in terms of the wider acceptance of alcohol, it's it's the thing that will present itself as a major health issue
Mhm.
before, like, say, a shopping addiction or
Yes.
any, like,
Right, right.
other
Any compulsive
any
behavior.
compulsive behavior. It's
Yeah.
like
I mean,
alcoholism is
arguably-
gonna hospitalize you and,
Yeah.
and probably kill you, whereas like these other things aren't. But and I think the underlying thing of like it's alcoholism being the worst named condition / disease, depending on how you define it, is like it's only because that takes you to the worst spot quicker than any of these other
That's true.
things.
Yeah.
But actually, it really doesn't have much to do with alcohol. It's
Yeah.
just
The crossover
that's
with eating disorders, I think I've experienced in my own life, having an eating disorder, and also friends who have had it, and there's a big crossover with addiction and eating disorders.
huge, yeah.
And there's also
Well, I mean, I would say eating any
it is an
disorder
addiction
is
to be.
it's in it, whether it be like, uh, um, on both spectrums of eating disorders,
Right,
whether it
starving
be-
yourself
yeah,
or
it's-
overeating.
It's self-loathing.
Yeah,
I think, in
yeah,
a way.
yeah.
It's just,
which, I think in a lot of ways, alcoholism is as well with
Yeah.
with regards
is,
to
yeah.
alcohol itself. It's like I need to not be in my own skin
Yeah.
because I'm so uncomfortable in this, just like existing inside this body that
Yeah.
like, and
It's an active way of
I can't
escaping.
interact with people or the world feeling the way that I do, and like it's the first thing people come across that alleviates that in
Yeah.
some sense,
do you have a favorite addiction right now? Do you? What's your favorite addiction?
My favorite addiction right now, God, I think it's probably chess on my phone.
Chess.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a good one.
But it's not a good one when it's like taking up half your fucking
It's
day.
taking it's you can't manage your
You can't, yeah.
your life has become unmanageable because of chess.
Yeah. But
I mean, it's a fine sublimation for
I mean,
alcohol, I think.
with as a replacement for regularly hospitalizing myself.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna hospitalize myself with chess, but
I don't
no,
know.
I think
You might be.
never
able
know.
to, yeah.
Never know. You might have a
He's got a
Put-
bad case of the chess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Put
chessies.
put a bishop
you might have a you might,
up your ass.
Yeah, yeah.
Might
I
hospitalize
wasn't gonna
you.
go there, but you've taken it there. Yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a good
I
addiction.
think, yeah, I think
That and the gummy
chess.
bears.
the gummy bears just kind of always been there. Caffeine,
Yeah.
Mhm.
cigarettes.
Damn, you're
Mhm.
speaking my language. Replace chess with Fortnite, and it's the same
Ah,
thing.
God.
For me, replace chess with just videos of Trixie Mattel and Katya.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I do think
anything
also
on a
like,
screen.
Anything on
literally,
screen.
yeah. What I do think is like another, again, when I've had more extended periods of sobriety, is like did it because you're in this state of or because you've gotten into this pattern of paying attention to what you do without even thinking about it, that like you pick up on other things in yourself that are like, oh, I do that a lot. And it's like, oh, I've been on my phone for such, and then you're like, oh, I have to address that.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to like.
It's not even like just being on it for a long time. It's like I put it down and pick it up. I just keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean,
new
the
heights of self-awareness.
amount of times where I've been like, I put my phone down and I'm like, how did my phone end up back in my hand?
Yeah. What was I even? What was I gonna do?
And I think that's part of like the realization is like, I stopped drinking, but it's like it doesn't make me like. You don't automatically become like a better or different person.
No.
Like that shit is still wired into you.
Yeah,
it's still totally wired into you. I think like, you know, I think. You know, I'll just be chewing for this. I'm addicted
That's a pretty
to chewing.
Good bit. I think
to chewing.
No, I think if anything, like one of the longer lasting and one of the greater like gifts of sobriety is like you know, a degree of like inbuilt sort of self-examination that you kind of have to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
it's probably the hardest part about it.
And but
Without
that does allow you to you know, in other aspects of your life, spot these traits in yourself that are like, well, it's not going to kill me, but that's not a great
clock
thing.
that.
Yeah.
But it's beneficial to you and everyone around you, I think, to be operating from that place.
Yeah, and it's like not all of these things are easy fixes.
No. I mean, I will be the first to attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like probably a bad sign if someone's like, I got sober, I'm a good person now.
Yeah.
I'm all set. I'm all done.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's how some people do frame it.
That's true.
And it's like kind of
iffy.
Bozos.
And I do think it's that is that is one of the ultimate like toughest ways to kind of to look at it is like, if you know, when you're starting out with it, is like, fucking hell, I have to do this forever.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a
you know,
very scary thought.
And I think that, you know, that, and you know, again, you know, I've had good periods of this and I've had terrible periods of this, but you know, I've had enough experiences where that has kind of began to turn into like thank God I get to do this for
Yeah.
because like,
Yeah.
not only would I be dead otherwise, but like,
Thank God
it
this
actually
is the path.
feels good to like, it's not a chore and it's not some like insurmountable thing,
Right.
that it's actually that it's actually something that brings you a great deal of like contentment that a lot of people, including myself, when I have been in longer stints of sobriety, is like, is like you really feel the again the kind of gift of like, oh, I get to have this insight into myself where like I know that I can't trust my first instinct with a lot of things. I know that like it's like I you're like grateful that you have this opportunity to learn more about yourself.
I agree. I think it helped me see a lot of the like bad about myself, but then like it also like let me see a lot of good shit that I never would have seen.
Yeah.
And I think that I was actively trying to bury, and like there was like
Kill that part of yourself.
The part that I hated about myself is like, no, some of the shit is good.
Yeah.
Like I used to be like, oh, I'm a weirdo. That's not okay. Then I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about me.
Yeah. No. And that's it. It's like.
And I think being sober also, if you can get to a mindset where you're like, that's part of what, it's something that makes me unique.
Yeah.
And makes me
superior.
A better person than other people.
Drunk assholes.
I'm better than you.
Exactly.
I got more money than you.
Yeah.
I'm just I know the secrets and you haven't gotten.
But that, in a weird sense, like, I do get, like, for instance, with talking about Coachella shit again, like, the last time I went, I was like, it's so lame, but it's like, I love being the designated driver.
Yeah.
Shit like that. I mean, just lame shit where it's just like,
too.
These people are fucking wasted.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No, I
like,
love that shit too. I love being like, you also kind of become like a default, like, oral storyteller. Like all of the information is collected by you.
You're the wise elder.
And you can disseminate it however you want. You can be like, you don't remember this, but listen, you were saying a lot of slurs, and the person's like, oh my God, I was. You're like, yes, you were. You need to work on that.
You called your friend the R word.
Yeah, you can just make that shit up, and they have to believe you. You're the oracle now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us and being candid and courageous.
And now
really
we're gonna get back to the pyramids.
We're gonna get back to the pyramids and sticking chess pieces up our asses.
Yeah, I know.
Love that.
Imagine sticking a pyramid up your ass.
Well, the world, that's, the Earth is conical.
Yeah.
It only makes sense to be inserting conical shapes into our bodies.
That's a good pattern of.
I have
I have like 7 bishops in my asshole right now.
All the way up the intestines. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
This has been Rock Bottoms, a podcast of substance. And wasn't it full of substance?
It was. And you can catch Ross, aka
anything to plug?
DJ
Coachella.
Coachella next weekend. Where else am I going? I'm going to Brazil the following week, which would be fun. Festival down there. Working on a record just now. I actually I'm not usually when I would do these types of if it wasn't on this subject matter,
you'd be promoting.
I would be
stuff.
I would be in the I'd be doing a press run or whatever sort of thing. But I'm working on an album just now, and enjoying the fact that the sun has decided to
Come
show
out.
its face again.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, you can catch Ross sunbathing in Venice Beach.
You can. It's my
Sunbathing
My
with the gummy
chessboard.
bears. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
man.
That's
Yeah,
a wrap.
That's
on
a wrap.
that.
Fuck yeah. Thanks, Ross.
Oh, that
You're a
wasn't so
beautiful
difficult
soul.
after all.
That was so lovely.